When I was 10 years old, two monumental things happened in my life. One, my parents got divorced, and two, Raiders of the Lost Ark came out in the theater. And I instantly became obsessed with Indiana Jones / Harrison Ford. And as a way to compensate for my father leaving, my mother would indulge me in a lot of my wants, and one of them was to see Raiders of the Lost Ark as many times in the theater as I possibly could. And I saw it 30 times in the theater. And in a very cool move by my mother, in retrospect, she saw it with me 12 of those 30. Now, because we had both seen that movie so much, we would reference it a lot in just our shorthand around the house. So, for instance, if either of us ever had something that we really wanted, and then at the very last moment it is ripped away from us, we would cite the scene at the beginning of the movie after Indiana Jones has given his lecture, and Marcus Brody has come to ask him about the idol that he just lost to Belloc and the Jovitos. And Indiana Jones responds, "I had it, Marcus. I had it in my hand." In December of 2011, I was living in LA and teaching at a theater school. And in the year-long program, after the students had completed 5 levels, the culmination of the entire program was that they would put on a Monday night student show where they could invite all their friends and family. I usually taught the earlier levels, so I would sometimes go to the Monday night student shows to support some of my former students, because usually on Monday nights I had an improv show in North Hollywood that I would go to after this show. So on this one particular night in December of 2011, I walked up the stairs into the theater, and I'm in the hallway right before you go into the actual theater, and I have a moment where I think to myself, is that Harrison Ford? And then I get closer and realize that's Harrison Ford. And I immediately get just giddy with excitement. And I use my clout in the theater, and I secure a seat directly behind Harrison Ford in the theater, and I sat and I watched him the entire show. I didn't look at anything else. I was just looking at him, this legend, this guy who shaped me as a kid, and I am just fascinated by all of his mannerisms, and I'm even looking past that really weird late-in-life earring choice that he had in his ear. But the thing that I cannot figure out is why Harrison Ford is at a Monday night student show. So at the end of the show, we go out into the hallway, and I am standing next to my boss. And she knows what a fan I am, and she said, "Are you going to go talk to Harrison Ford?" And I said, "No, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to be that guy. He hates that guy." And then right as I finished that sentence, I look down the hall, and I see who he came to see as he hugs one of my former students, and I say, "Oh my God, it's Joan. I was her favorite teacher." And then I push my boss out of the way, and I walk down the hall, and Joan does exactly what I hoped she would, and she goes, "Kevin, come here. I want you to meet my godfather, Harrison Ford." And I say something dumb like, "Oh, thanks for saying his last name. I wouldn't have known who he was. Hi, I'm Kevin." But then Joan does something really cool. Then she starts to tout me. And she starts saying what a great teacher I am, and how funny I am, and what a wonderful person I am. However, these accolades go on like a second too long, and then there's an awkward silence as Harrison Ford is just looking at me. But summoning up all the bravado that I learned from Indiana Jones and Han Solo growing up, I looked at him and I said, "I really am quite something." He laughed, and he was about to be whisked away by one of the family members, and then he stuck out his hand so we could shake it as we parted ways. And if memory serves me correctly, his handshake was tough guy firm, yet rich guy soft. And at this point, as he's whisked away, I am feeling so great that was a fun encounter, and I got a really cool line in there. And then I see, as I'm standing, I'm lurking in the hallway, I see him kind of beeline it out of there. And then I have a choice, because I've got to leave soon to go to my improv show in North Hollywood. And this is probably going to be my only chance to ever speak to Harrison Ford again. But I didn't know what I was going to do, and I just had a moment where I referenced the movie in my head where, I don't know, I'm making this up as I go. And then I decide I'm going to do it. And I raced down the stairs, and then as I get close to him, I slowed my walk so it seemed like I was just walking at a normal pace. And I only have a moment, so I decide I need to tell him something. And I decide that I'm going to be honest and I'm going to be real. And I say to him, I just want to thank you, because Raiders of the Lost Ark came out when I was going through a real tough time in my life, and I was real sad, and that movie helped out a kid who was really having it rough. And then he smiled at me, and I said, I'm not the first person to say that to you, am I? And he goes, no, you're not. And we have a nice little moment, and then we get to the bottom of the stairs, and I say, it was really a pleasure meeting you. And he goes, it was a nice meeting you too. And then I walked away feeling really good about my encounter with this legend, my hero, Harrison Ford. And then I went and did my stupid improv show in North Hollywood. And why I say stupid improv show in North Hollywood is because the next morning, another one of my former students called me, and he said, Kevin, where were you last night? Harrison Ford took us all out for drinks, and we were looking for you to invite you. I had it, Marcus. I had it in my hand.